Good evening. It's Saturday today. Rather worryingly, it means the weekend is half over already. For it is 11 p.m. here in the UK. And, well, I found myself in a dilemma today. Those who know me well all know that I have a real problem with tidying. If you invite me round to your house, I can tidy like a demon. I cannot lift a finger in my own, right? And so, my house, not exactly guest friendly. And today I was really, well, you know how I have like the brain cells that kind of come up with dumb ideas and I have conversations with them? Well, some of the brain cells were really up for tidying. The rest of them knew that it was a stupid idea. So I didn't. What I did do today was I converted the sock yarn balls that, frankly, balls that come like this should be illegal. So, you know the ones that are kind of tall and almost look like they're wound in a figure of eight that kind of constantly moves. And all that happens is you can't find the middle because they don't give you an end for it. If you do find the middle, it basically comes out as a lump the size of a tennis ball. If you take it from the outside, you do all right for a little bit. Then you get about a third of the way through the ball and it just turns into one big giant knot, right? These balls are a nightmare. And I've been doing, as you might recall, the beekeeper's quilt, which is basically a slightly puffy blanket. And I wound the 7 balls of wool into cakes today. So if we pull up my window, for example, I made cakes out of them so that I can do that. But I did discover that, now I don't remember it being this hard. I have a beautiful Knit Pro ball winder and it will take 10 ounces of yarn, for which these are small. They're only a standard, there might even be 50 grams of yarn, right? So it's not a weight issue. But the doing the turning thing, my arm was killing me. So my arms are really tired from winding these 7 balls of yarn and unknotting them and re-unknotting them and unknotting them some more and some more and some more, as you probably can imagine. So realistically, I am feeling already slightly, worse for wear. We haven't even started yet, which is a little disappointing, to be honest. I had higher hopes than that. But I do now have that. But what I have done, because obviously I've only done half the balls of yarn, i.e. one of each colour, although right here, right now, where the hell did I put the other ones? Oh, there they are, that's right. Just wanted to check. So today, I ordered an electronic ball winder. Now, to be honest, I was never keen on them in the past, but after today, you know what? I really am. So, a lot of the time when I turn things into cakes like that, I'm turning yarn I've made, which means that it comes off a spindle wound like more like one of these, so that, obviously not as tidy, but and a lot bigger, and with a lot less turns on it. But it's a spool. It's wound round and round and round, and it will not knot. Now, obviously, me grinding away making balls of yarn out of that, well, that's tiresome, that is. An electric one would do it so much better. So, well, here's to hoping that the one I've ordered isn't crap. If it is, it will be going back. But, it's not that there is a problem with my signature one, because all the parts move freely until you put it kind of to do it all in one piece. So the bit that goes round and round and round like this, that you use to make the turnings runs freely. The bit that it causes to turn at a funny angle to get the yarn does cause a lot of vibrations, and it's got a weight on it, so it's not supposed to do that. But frankly, obviously not enough of a weight, or it will only balance out at a certain point, and this was not it. But so I constantly had to because I attached it to my computer table. My computer monitor that's on a swing arm kept kind of moving forwards, so I had to keep moving it back. But there's nothing wrong with it per se, despite the fact that it's a good few years old now. I mean, it must be 10 years old. And nothing's perished, nothing's wrong with it. Everything's still in good working order. It's really fine. But my arm, after one ball of wool, I wasn't sure I was going to manage anymore. I did manage, in smaller bouts and with more unpickings of knots and to get to the end. But I really feel like I've been doing karate. In karate, we used to hold our hands out doing a punch, and my shoulders used to really complain. And it never got easier, and to the point, one of my shoulders actually acts a bit like it's got a... if you've, done an emergency stop and you scrape your tyres down the tarmac, and you end up with, a flat spot. My shoulder feels like it has a flat spot in it. I actually can feel sometimes, quite often actually, that if I lift my, lifting my, my elbow up, so obviously I'm doing it with my hand because that's the only bit of me you can see. But if I'm lifting my elbow up or down, sometimes it will stick and then drop, and and I can feel it kind of crunch and grind in there. And I swear an awful lot of it is from standing there with Sensei, holding your arms out and you're going, this really hurts. And he's off on a rant like I do and, all the rest of it. And you're sitting there going, dude, I love you dearly. Well, actually I don't, but I love you dearly. Can I put my hand down yet, please? I know you think it's kind of like character building and a bit of strength, but that was kind of over 5 minutes ago. Can we not? And so my shoulders have never been the same since karate. But anyway, let's get down to business, because we have quite a bit of triangle to go if we want to finish tomorrow. And, because it is kind of traditional that we manage one triangle a week. Now, it's not essential, no one's going to kill me if I don't, but, like everything, the longer it takes, well, the further it is away since before we finish. So, while I set myself up and work out what I'm doing and punish the bobbins that are misbehaving, like this one, I saw you do that. I did. I saw you do that. I have been sad today. Not crying sad, but I have been mourning that a few weeks ago there were some ebony bobbins on eBay that I really wanted, and I set my alarm to deal with it, because obviously you don't want to throw your highest bid on, straight away. And someone outbid me, fine, and I was gonna go in and not snipe it, but up it towards the end to give myself a better chance. And dog something, probably doom scrolling on phone, and then realised I'd missed the end of it. So I missed out on a number of beautiful bobbins that I really wanted. And they were a really good price. I regret missing them. And one of the biggest problems I have is that we all know that prior to these bobbins, I was using these bobbins, which are known as Danish bobbins. And the bobbins that I was bidding on are exactly that shape. They're Danish bobbins, But they were made in ebony, and I really, really, really would like some ebony bobbins because I like ebony as a wood. And it was going to end up as something like £30 for 120 bobbins. That's a steal, dude. That's like 20p each, you know. But the biggest problem is yes, you can buy ebony bobbins in the Danish style. £10 each because some arse has painted them. And one of the biggest problems with that is... Oh, I've got something in my ear I need to turn down. Hang on. I've got to turn this down because it's a bit loud in my ear. That's better. It's a bit loud. They set off an air horn. And... Well... I'm sorry, but if I wanted to do this project, which is, I think, 46 pairs of bobbins, something like that, 46, 48. Let's assume it's 48. That's 96 bobbins. Now, 96 bobbins, I mean, it's quite a lot of bobbins, but it's not an unrealistic number of bobbins. You know, whatevs. At £10 a bobbin, though, that's 960 quid. I'm sorry, but that's like a month's salary on bobbins. The words often can be arranged into a sentence of your choosing. Much as I really would love some, that's a heck of a lot. Now, I'm not going to pretend that, you know, I don't expect, you know, to find ebony bobbins at 20p each, because, well, I really don't. Ebony is an expensive wood. I mean, part of me kind of says, what, it's not that expensive. Actually, let me undo that. It doesn't look twisted enough, even though I know I twisted in it. See, I can see I twisted it. It just doesn't look enough. Let's add another one for good measure then. Now, I have found some non-painted ones. Hallelujah. The website's not currently selling to the UK. I'm gutted. They sell a huge, huge number of ebony bobbins, and they are all utterly beautiful. I mean, they pretty much sell some of everything in ebony. Now, again, they're not cheap, but they're a lot better than 10 quid a go. So yeah, I'm kind of mad because I found somewhere that would sell them, except not to me. Now, obviously, it's not a Liz personal thing, but you know, almost feels it. I still got the page open. That's the Danish ones, but if I go back a page, yes. So if I do this, you should now see some ebony bobbins. So here you can see they've got a fair few styles. So they've got this kind of roundy one with a wiggle at the bottom, roundy one with a less of a wiggle at the bottom, kind of Danishy ones but with a bigger rose on them, Danishy like ones but with a point at the bottom, ones that look a little bit like bongs. They've got these ones, they call them Bayer ones, but they kind of look a bit like these ones but not quite. They've got some skinnier ones with bobbles on the end, the Danish ones. They've got some pointier ones with knobbles on the end, some Midlands ones, some Honiton ones, some ones that are very much like these but have huge roses on them, which would mean that you'd like to think that you don't have them fall apart. I've got 482 of those. So you'd like to think that when you do your half hitch that it would friggin' stay in there. And they got more Midlands bobbins, but in a slightly different style. So there's an English one and a slightly plainer one. Another kind of plainy one. mini bobbins, some knobbly ones without doodles on the end, some square doodly ones within some other squarey ones. You may recall we have some plain ones like this. Some square ones with points on the end. Again, the big tonky bits, but apparently they're smaller. Yes. Then they've got these ones which are slightly bigger. So these people have lots of beautiful ebony bobbins. But if you go to somewhere it had thing for shipping, and I clicked on it and it said ha 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 ha, no, not to the UK. And I am slightly, or rather quite a lot, disappointed. So for example, let's say I decided I fancy which ones? Let me pick some. Itch. Let's say I went with these because they have the really, 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 really huge head, right? And let's say I wanted 200 of those, so I need to type. Hang on, move this, and that, and slide my thing forward. Right, so we add those together. Now, obviously, it's a lot of euros. There's a lot of euros, but we'll ignore that for the moment. You do get a discount, woo. But somewhere along here, I was looking, and maybe it was on the home page. Somewhere around here, there was a thing on shipping about us. Nope, shop. I do hate it when you've been to a website, you know you saw something, and you're buggered if you can find it. There was something about shipping. What the pretty ones then? Come on then. Actually, I disagree. There was something somewhere, and it basically said a thing about shipping. And oh, there you go. Delivering an extra, check our rates, right? UK, we limit temporarily our sales to the UK. How depressing's that? They'll sell it to basically everybody, even to the USA, not us. So feeling slightly miffed at that, because I mean, it would have been expensive, because it just would have been. I mean, well, at this sort of price, you're talking, you know, 40 euros or so, maybe, somewhere in that kind of range, looking at the worst case scenario. And, hang on. Convert. That'd be 775 quid for 200 bobbins. I mean, it's a lot of money, dudes. That's a lot of money. But, you know, you could have kind of, you know, built up to it over a while. Saved up a bit, you know. Maybe next month if I get my bonus or something. But there is a bit of you that's left kind of going, but you're not selling to me. Everyone's got them, but they're all pricey and they've all painted them with flowers. And I was discussing this with someone earlier today. The idea of painted bobbins really kind of puts me off, because I have fairly caustic hands. I have fairly dry, rough hands. I mean, they're not sandpaper, but, you know, they are fairly, you know, crunchy. So I just realised I didn't push all my pins down on the edge. So the idea of painted really doesn't sound appropriate to me, because for something that you constantly handle, surely the paint comes off. Now, even if you've put a layer of varnish over the top, it's still kind of prone to coming off, surely. And I'm sorry, but I'm not paying £10 a bobbin for it to come off, you know, almost in a couple of hours or something. That really kind of... I mean, they look pretty, but to be honest, prettiness is not the most important factor. I mean, I realise that wanting ebony bobbins is a cosmetic thing, because obviously, you know, again, how they look doesn't really matter. But the darkness in contrast to the rest of the world is kind of nice. But there's, even if I bought 96, that's 960 quid. Whereas with those, that's 462 euros, which is, I don't know, 350 quid. It's still expensive, but it's like a third the price. You know, it's expensive, but it's maybe I'll treat myself. Whereas 900 quid for barely enough bobbins to do this, well, that feels wrong, if you know what I mean. I transferred my things into a pot, in case you were wondering what I was opening. Because that way they can't escape. So yes, it was... made me realise even more how annoyed I was at missing the ones on eBay, because, well, they really were a steal. So yes. So how's everyone been? What have you been up to? What are you, if you're crafting, what are you working on? Please share. Wow. I've always struggled with socks with actual sock yarn. So going back to this yarn, which of course is sock yarn, this feels, well, seems thicker than my brain remembers. But to be honest, I'm finding even the Hexie Puffs hard going. Not in terms of actual doage, just for the fact that the widest point of the hexagon is 40 stitches. I've knit jumpers where across the chest isn't that big. It just seems, that it's just that much more work, and because it is such a small object, I am kind of struggling with the size of it, because it is kind of working in tiny, tiny holes. Oh, that reminds me, I was going to show you guys. Now, I had you earlier. Where have you gone? Where is the thing? Where is the thing? Where have you gone? There you are. So, I've been using... I saw that. That's right, one of my balls will try to run away. Hang on. Now, when I started the Hexie Puffs, I was using three double pointed needles. Okay. And I found the very beginning very difficult. Just because I found the beginning very, very difficult. So I bought a couple of bits to try as an alternative. And the first one I bought would have been great, I think. So, yeah, you see, for 60 something stitches, I can have a frigging jumper. But I bought this. Now, this is a circular for socks, but this one's got a short needle for the ones that you scrunch up and that you don't have to hold so hard. And this one, the one that does all the work, is a lot longer. So as you might be able to see, it's hard to tell with, get the light on it. But this needle ends here, this needle ends here. So they are, if I put not that I can easily, because it's not designed to, but if I put the two ends together, you can see that this one's a lot shorter than that one. But of course, you can't really knit half a thing on each side of them. So while I think that is a great thing, I ended up with... Fuck, where did they go? There they are. These, which are flexible double-pointed needles. Now, part of the advantage of these is that the hexagon fits on the little cable portion so that you can get really nice tight edges. They also bunch up quite nicely, which into a short, stubby thing, which I quite like. You need a fairly flexible cable for the Hexie Puffs, because if it's got any kind of rigidity to it, it puts quite a lot of pressure on the tiny Hexie Puff. Yes. No, 32 inches is 110, I think. 60 is 24. Because it's 30 for 12. So 36 is gonna be 90 centimeters. That doesn't make sense. It is 11:30 at night, so I'm just going to pretend that makes sense, because in my head that doesn't make sense. But I'll believe you, and I believe me. It's an all of me thing, but somehow my math ain't mathing, and usually I'm really good at maths. So, my brain's not up for it today, obviously. It's been a bit funny today, my brain, so it's not too surprising. It's been a bit off all day, to be honest. I mean, I got absolutely nothing done today, and I mean absolutely. I made one hexapath and wound some balls of yarn. Hardly, worthy of a whole Saturday, Oh, and I fed the dog. Yes, you! Yes, you! Sorry. Quite often, the cables are very much interchangeable. Pretty much any of the screw together ones are interchangeable. Oh, honey, you should have been here. It's 3 times louder here. My sneezes are not quiet, but it was one of those. Fair enough. I am not known for quiet sneezes, unfortunately. And it was one of those ones where I could do all the best I could do was kind of like be paralysed and let it happen. It came on a bit fast, so I couldn't even hit the mute button. I normally do, but that one got to me a bit fast. So, sorry. Blow me nose. Hang on. There we go. That should be. Maybe we'll cheer it up. Right. I saw that. Ooh. This doesn't feel right, because if I pull this one slightly, it goes all the way back over there. So let me undo this and undo that. Something's not right at this point. See, this isn't right. That isn't right. That's why that then goes there. Now, that's better. Well, it's nice they wanted to see your snakes. I saw that. Jesus Christ, you made me jump then. That's actually Rory. He doesn't make much noise. It's a good boy. Did you bark at it? Are you a good boy? Rory doesn't normally make... She normally does all the noise. Did you bark at it? Are you a good big brave boy? Are you? You big brave boy. Well done for growling and barking at it. You did. Well done. He's a good boy. Yes, you are. Yes. Yes. Did you protect me from the leaf moving in the garden? Did you? Did you? Or was it a worm? Maybe a snail? Or a spider? Did you protect me from the big bad thing? Was it the wind? Or a raindrop, perhaps? Anyway, maybe it's a good boy. Yes, you're a good boy. You are. Right, off you go. Oh, I've told you how great you are. Yeah, that can be great somewhere else. So unusual for him to make noise. Got to make a bit of a fuss of him so that he does feel that he can and should make noise should bad things be occurring. Good for you. Thank you, Latigo. Welcome to the channel. I've actually, there you go. I've made that many squares. I am nearly 3/4 of the way around this one. Look. Poke, poke, poke. So this will be, this is square number 6. So it is growing. It is definitely growing. I am beginning to feel a little of the repetition is getting to me. Which is a bit concerning as I'm not even halfway through. But hey, never mind, we have some I have some diversions that I need to investigate at some point. Now, technically, I could argue I don't need to do them until after I finish this, but I do feel that going off on a brief diversion and doing something different is good for the soul. It stops some of the whole "didn't I do this yesterday" feeling. So the diversion that I need to do is very much in line with a lovely lady called Christy. I was probably back here somewhere. Yeah. I generally get through a triangle a week as a whole. I mean, some weeks... Well... Yeah, that could have been there or there, to be honest. But it is one of those things, is that lace making is not a speedy art form. It is distinctly very unspeedy, to be fair. And it also depends, because, for example, when I get to the end of here, I can either go all the way over here and work on this cloth bit here, or stay roughly this side and do this cloth bit here. And so, because you do sort of leap around the triangle, now, or I do, you don't have to. You could arguably just work in stripes in a direction, down that way or down this way. Choice is yours. Now, don't pull from down here, you silly woman. But it does mean that sometimes we shuffle a lot of bobbins around just to work on another bit somewhere else. So it can be a little misleading as to where the pretty bobbins are. But the pretty bobbins are the bits of the cloth stitch. They are the bit that goes side to side and make it look kind of filled in. So, sorry, I've got a rough nail. Where's my nail file? And I keep kind of catching it on the... Not that it matters particularly, but, you know, it's not like it's wool or something. There we go. So, yes. But I am planning a diversion, and the diversion is to be making some strips. Now, I don't know quite what I'm going to do, because I want the strips to be a decent size, which means that's a lot of work. Because I want to try a joining of things technique. Now, not like the join of when this gets round to the end. A joining of two worked pieces with hopefully not leaving a big line down it where the join is. Now, these are going to have very much join lines because, and I've just seen a pin has gone missing where I need it. It won't kill me or it not to be there, but I'm going to put it back anyway because, well, duh. Because these have kind of got a hard flat edge, whatever I do to join them, that hard flat edge is going to show. Now, I know that, and being squares was part of the design. In short, because, well, you have the fact that you do a triangle and you can make, well, in my case it seems to be about a week, but you can do, like, you can look at the end of your day and go, well, today I did, say, this, this, and this bit. And you can identify where it grew. If I did a neck curtain, which is basically almost the size of this pillow, but twice as long. If I did that much, chances are you'd almost not notice where it is. That you'd not tell how much you added to it. And this means that, much like when you've been dieting and you've been doing all the right things and you've gone down the gym and you've been sweating and nibbling on half a lettuce leaf to try and pretend that, you know, and pretending that you're full on it, even though you're not, and all of those kind of portions, right? When you don't lose weight at the end of you haven't lost any weight that week, it is depressing because, you know, you feel like you've put in all the effort and that all of that wishing that you could have had cake on somebody's birthday and, you know, denying yourself the things that you were hungry for because you could have murdered 3 pizzas and, you know, all of those kind of moments when you were driving past McDonald's and, you know, despite the fact that McDonald's are really weird, you know, that you still really fancied a McDonald's. It is that point that you find yourself sitting there going, after all that, and I haven't even lost a pound, what's the point? And it is easily done. And with lace making, it's almost the same, is that if you spent 4 hours sitting there flicking your bobbins about, and you looked at it, and you really couldn't tell what you added today, that is going to be slightly demoralising. Even a week later, chances are unless it's got a pattern and it's plain at the now the one I'm thinking of doing would be fairly ground stitch at the top with introducing of more and more frequent things down the bottom. So a bit like, you know, a snowfall kind of thing. Even then, unless you suddenly, you know, went from plain to having 3, in my case, petals, snowflakes, whatever they're going to be, you're not really going to notice. And you start getting kind of like, I don't know why I'm doing this, it's not growing, because you can't see the fact that it's grown. So the squares work really well on that, because obviously I get a collection of squares. If I choose at the very, very end of it, yeah, I can always get to the end and decide not to make a net curtain out of it. You know, and, you know, turn it into placemats or something, right? And so, but I do want to make one in one piece. I really, really do. Now, that's going to be hard going because, well, you know, it truly is. But I want to work out how to make a join that doesn't scream like a 5-year-old did it with you know, Copydex and a paintbrush the size of my foot. I want it to look basically invisible, if at all possible. And I've got an idea in my head on how that may happen. Now, there is a technique. You know, you don't want it to, you want it to look like you put the effort in that you did, right? And imagine you spent, like I'm going to do on this, probably nearly 18 months making it. The fear at the end is that you'll screw it up putting it together. Now, obviously, with the idea of doing it in one piece, now, that would be ideal, because obviously, technically, there'd be no joins. Hallelujah. But, as a lovely lady worked out for me, that's around 536 pairs of bobbins. Well, that's a metric shit ton of bobbins, frankly. And maybe a tad more than I'm really in the mood for. So, once again, I find myself wanting to break it into chunks. Now, if you consider back in the day when lace making was a profession that was done regularly by human beings, they made huge, I'm talking huge, we're talking like 3-meter wingspans of shawl out of lace. Now, obviously, they did not make it in one piece. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. if you look up, actually, let me see if I can find it for you. Hang on. So, hang on. Let me. So hopefully you can see that. Thank you for the follow. Now here you can see, for example, in the picture, it's kind of small, but this is a Chantilly lace shawl. This particular one, ain't it just, right? Now, if I could make something like that, oh my God, right? But these people had a slightly bigger head start on me in that they would have been making lace since they were small children. And it is done in strips. And they would have a lady whose sole profession was to join the strips together. Now, how this was done apparently is not entirely lost. There is some woman in deepest France somewhere who knows how to do this. And a woman who slightly bores my goat is has kind of done her flex thing. So she makes lots of YouTube videos. And in some of them she is making lace, much like I've been doing so far, but she is not showing how things are different. She's basically doing a degree on lace making and got a grant to go, I believe, from America all around Europe learning how to make lace. Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds more like a frigging jolly and a rich girl job to me. But if she she's pulling it off, fair dues to her. But everything about her soul is kind of, she's not someone I could have a serious conversation with without a struggle. Anyway, because she's got fake nails and she's... No. But she's been to France and she has met a lady who knows how to do this. So share it, love. Stop flexing that you've seen it and maybe know how to do it. Share it with the rest of us. Because otherwise this stuff is going to die out. Now, I would love to be able to make something like this. And I don't know whether this site particularly covers it. But, for example, if I go to... Well, exactly. There, if someone else was paying, dear God alive, there are lots of things that we could all, happily do. So, for example, here is an example of exactly that kind of thing. They would make strips and join them together. Now, before you ask, no, I'm not buying this. This is £140 for a strip. And there isn't the rest of it. It might make a really pretty net curtain as you repeat it across the bottom. But I'm not paying 140 quid for a pricking. Really not. But it is very, very pretty. And I would love to make even this, for example. However, if I can't join it, it's no good to me now, is it? So, with that in mind, I am determined to have a go at making some lace that I can join together. And not this. I've just realised how wonky this looks. Let's see if I can straighten it slightly. Hang on, let me move my keyboard. There you go. It's not very straight for me now. Never mind, but what I need to do though is I need to build a strip, not that long, that wide, but a decent long. So it can't be like 3 inches. It needs to be like 12 inches, because doing something over a much bigger length, doing something where you've got to the awkwardness of extra stuff while you're trying to do the earlier stuff, it has to be taken into account. Because if I've only got 2 or 3 inches, let's say I was putting it on here, I could lay it all out flat and work in between. Well, of course I could. But if it's 1 metre long, now I can't. And I have to have enough of a sample to practice how it could work in general. Now, I have some ideas. There's a couple of ideas. In fact, there's more than a couple of ideas. But I have a couple of ideas. Now, one of them, I'm pretty sure, would result in a thicker line kind of wandering its way down the join. And as we know from the picture, that was not a thing. So I'm left kind of wondering how they did it. Well, it depends how wide they are. So, for example, I have a bolster cushion that is really huge. Hang on. Where did I put me tin of bits? Hang on. Got a tape measure around here somewhere. Saw it earlier. There it is. Let me go measure it. Hang on. Yeah, I can get at that. I haven't exactly hidden it too far. Let me go measure it for you. 1 moment, please. Talk amongst yourselves for a bit. Come on, go around the back. So, my biggest roller pillow, because I've got 2. I've got a smaller one. Oh, hang on, I've shut the door and I'll upset the door. Yeah. So, my biggest roller pillow is 67 centimetres or roughly 26 inches across, and around the pillow is 92 centimetres, which basically means, rather than well, so this one is basically 3 centimetres short of fitting the whole damn thing on in one go. Take a deep breath. Of course, it would be like a couple of centimetres short. Of course it would. Now, logic states I could get some felt and wrap it round. Oh, don't worry about typing. We know what you meant, don't worry. So this pillow that I've got almost could hold a single window neck curtain on its own. Hallelujah. Only problem is, I don't know how I could stream using it, because obviously it being round, you'd see. Oh, hang on, I've got to deal with a spam bot, because we like reporting our spam bots, because well, they're spam bots and we don't like spam bots. So this particular bolster pillow, if you had a bolster pillow, obviously the peak of the bolster pillow would be near the camera, but the work would be just in front of it, and you wouldn't really be able to see. So that to me is a problem. The fact that you can almost, but not entirely, fit the entire thing on is just utterly infuriating. But if perhaps I wrapped a lot of layers of felt round it, because you can get quite thick felt, I could make the circumference big enough that it would be sufficient to actually do the work in one piece. In which, well, as one length all the way round. And that way, should I want to join two together, I would be able to pin the two sides. For one of the things that I'm thinking, so I don't know how much you know about lace making, but when you come to join things, generally you pull the pin out, you shove a needle or a crochet hook through the hole, you pick up a loop of thread from one bobbin, like this, so you end up, it pulls the loop up through the hole, and then you pass the other bobbin through the loop, and in effect, tie a knot. This would be, as far as I can tell, the best way of achieving a non-visible join, or it would be as invisible as I think I would be capable of doing. Now, I am sure with some needles and some long threads and a lot of brain work, I could do something to mimic the lace work and interlacing with the threads that were already on the table. But the problem is that normally when you have the groundwork, and let's say that's what you're joining, the pair that say on this dot actually works down in this direction. But of course, at the join, it's going to get there and turn round. So it potentially still shows. So I don't believe that it would be easy to, well, that it is feasible to do it, for want of a better word, properly. But doing the kind of double hitch join is much more likely to work out. Well, I hope, right? But this is part of the experiment that I want to do. I want to try it. And the other choices are, because obviously what I would do for that is actually insert a very thin bit of lace between each of the strips. So, you know, if you had a strip here and a strip here, you might add almost a 3-pair very thin bit of lace, but every time it meets that one, it does the loop and catch there, and then when this one gets to that side, it does a loop and catch, it does a bit of a dance in the middle, it comes back. So, you know, from that point of view, it would be, you know, the thinnest bit of lace. But I swear you would, you know, you might be able to see the join, but I think that would be the most invisible join that I can imagine happening. Now, there is a thing called lassen, where what you do is you get the two edges like this. You line, well, obviously there'd be a bit more zigzaggy, but you get the two edges, and then you basically put them together and you kind of oversew round them. That doesn't feel overly secure, but it also means you're introducing a third thread into a normally, say, 2-thread environment, which to me makes it sound like it, and of course going over and over like this. So even if you only do one twist when there would be one twist, and 2 twists if there'd be 2 twists, and all that kind of stuff to try and fit in the spiral, there's an extra thread. And to me, I just swear that you'd see the extra large thread. Now, some of that obviously depends on the thread that you use. Now, this thread is not fat by any stretch of the imagination, but in lace making terms, it is up there. Now, parts of me, the insane part of me, wants to do the whole one in one piece with the stuff that's like the thickness of human hair, right? Which is about a third the size of this. And I have got some. Is that what's on the end of my curly needle? No, that's 40 as well. I do have some 100 somewhere, not to hand. Don't know what I've done with it, but it's somewhere safe. You know how it can be. And it really is skinny. But what I was going to say is, if I was using this, I could potentially use the 100-weight thread to do the windy over. It would be less apparent. But if I'm already using the 100, well, what the hell do you use now? Now, part of you says you could get the invisible thread. But of course, that's shiny plastic. That's probably not going to work. And it is quite chubby. So it probably wouldn't fit very well in a very small environment, because the really thin thread is considerably smaller in between the dots. So, in fact, it's about half the distance of this. But then you have to imagine how many damn pins I'm going to have all over the place. And how many hundreds of billions of pairs of bobbins. And as we've already established, that's around 536 to make a net curtain. That's pairs. So that's, 1,066 or something. No, 1,126. That's a lot of freaking bobbins. Now, I own quite a few of these. I've got about 900 of them. But that wouldn't be enough. I'd have to buy more. Now, I can afford to buy more. Especially next month being bonus month. So, I would like to think I've been a good girl, so I should get a bonus. So, but, there is this bit of you going, that's a lot of bobbins. And I'm not sure my anxiety could cope with trying to handle that many frigging bobbins. Because I'd have to buy an awful lot more of these. A scaringly lot more of these. 2, 3, 4, 5. Because, well, that's going to be a thing, right? So, that's not really ideal. Especially as these don't tend to sit in the sticks so well, because they're smooth. So I don't know. I find myself in conundrums as to how this is going to work. You need to get out the way a bit more. Come on. All of these things love to mate with pins that you really never thought were in the way. You are too short. You can be longer. And you can be longer. And you can be a bit longer. Right. Let's pick you up and put you over there. Right. You can go over there now. And then we need 2 of you. So yes, I really would like to do a one-piece one, but I think the answer is no. I've got to do another joined one. But what I want to try and do is a joined one that doesn't look like a joined one. But obviously, I'm not going to be the standard of like that shawl, because, well, she'd probably been doing it 40 years, and she specialised in the joins. I'm still probably at the kind of assistant trainee hairdresser who's allowed to sweep the floor when it's all over kind of level of lace making in comparison. So clearly I am, I would likely struggle to achieve a good result. Now, maybe I can do a good enough result. I would be happy with bothering to do that, because obviously, again, it would take a really long time, probably another 18 months, right, to make the strips. And then obviously I've got to join them together. But before I start, I want to know that I'm going to be able to do it. Sorry, I was wondering why this was not going in the hole. There we go. I've got to know that it's going to be worth it and that I can join it together well enough at the end. But, as I said, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to film that because I'd have to find something to put my bolster cushion on. At the moment, I don't have anything it will fit on because it's huge. And work out how I'm going to film it, because the only real way to film it would be to have a camera kind of where I'm sitting looking at it. But then it's going to be in my way, whereas at the moment, this camera's up here and it's nowhere near anything what I'm doing. So it's kind of okay and it's out the way. You get a decent enough picture of what I'm doing and I get to do my thing without any of you guys kind of struggling with the fact that you can't see what's going on, because, you know, I'm in the way, my head's in the way, my hands are in the way, because, well, I had enough job finding a camera that actually did a decent quality, because I have a GoPro, but the moment you use it as a webcam, it's only 720. I have a very expensive digital camera that does like 12 I think it's 12 or more megapixels in pictures, but not as a webcam. It's only 720. And I can very much assure you, if you go to YouTube and look at a couple of the earlier videos, they're blurry. 720 is not enough pixels for everything to stand out. To be honest, this is only 1080. The camera is capable of 4K. The problem is my internet is not. The moment I get a less dog crap internet, I can stream at 4K. So somehow, realistically, I would have to find a way of mounting this camera because I need it to be this good. I didn't add some, did I? Did I add one? No, I didn't. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You need to go over there, which is why it was confusing. You need to undo the twists. Yeah. So yeah, I would need to find a way of mounting a camera as good as this one, so that you can see what you're doing, or it's just going to be a big fat blur. Which of course, you know, becomes difficult. So glasses mounted would be good because, well, I've got the glasses, that's for sure. Or even like a minor cap mounted one that I can stick on the top of my head, you know, and look a bit like a Dalek, you know, that'd be fine. But while I have a head mount for a GoPro, my GoPro's not good enough. And I looked at even the newer ones and they still don't do it. The moment you use it as if you record and then play back, the GoPro will give you 4K, even 8K on the new ones. The moment you use it as a webcam, it's 720. Which is just so annoying. Because obviously my first thought was using my GoPro. I mean, that's just the blindingly obvious thing to do with it. Hence I tried my, you know, spectacular camera. It wasn't any better. I bought it loads of bits to help the battery last because it chewed through the battery. And it was no good, frankly. Very disappointing. So, definitely need to find, you know, better equipment to do it. I am rather pleased with how this little camera does. But I'd have to try and find a way to get it, you know, head mounted or something. Plus, of course, then deal with the cable, because it's got a really fat cable sticking out the edge of it. You just can't win, really. You know, you'd almost have to do the record me doing it and then play it back with you guys and sit and watch myself do it, which, well, that's going to be worse than a full-time job. Because, for example, let's say I do 4 hours of lace making. Well, I've got to do 4 hours of lace making to record it, and then 4 hours of playing it back at you. Well, that's 8 hours now. You know, it's not really a practical solution. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is to that. Because bolster pillows, you know, nearly anyone who does lace making videos does it on a flat pillow for the same reason kind of I am. Which is, how else are you lot going to sit? Clearly. I mean, it's bad enough with the little roller ones. You don't really see it as well. Let alone a big mother one. So I don't know. I don't know quite what to do for that, to be honest. But again, if I was making a strip, I've got the grey roller pillow that will do like 10 inches wide. Now it's still a load of bobbins, but 10 inches wide. Then you can see, because it is you know, while the pillow is 70 centimetres wide, the roller portion, and obviously it's flat and it's quite deep, but you can see 90% of it because we've used that on stream before. So from that point of view, that could work, but I would have to make strips. The big bolster pillow is definitely a Liz only pillow. Just because of it's so huge. For some reason all the skin seems to be coming off my lips at the moment. Did I add a pair? 1, 2, 3, 4. No. Twat. You're being naughty. I can see you. So yes, I find myself locked into conundrums about how to achieve things, what I could do to share it with you, because obviously, you know, it's a big undertaking. I'm sure some of you would be interested to see kind of how it goes. But even, for example, the experiments. So even if only the experiments get done on the smaller pillow, at least you can join in with those. But then joining things on a smaller pillow would be really awkward. So, because obviously you're joining two things that maybe you made, I don't know, let's say 6 inches wide. I mean, God, no, I don't want to do that as an experiment. But, you know, it would have to be reasonably wide. So it'd be more bobbins than this for an experiment. Because obviously this is enough bobbins to make this distance, not this distance, kind of thing, right? Well, it's going to be a lot of bobbins, and I've got to find somewhere to put a lot of bobbins. So I don't know. And it would just be for an experiment. It wouldn't even be for realsies, you know? Basically, yeah, it would be an entire kind of potato sack of bobbins, and I have dogs. Dogs and lace pillows are not good friends. Waggy tails, paws, knocking it over. I mean, they haven't knocked it over for a while, touching lots of wooden things, right? But I managed to knock it over. The last person to knock it over was me. I moved my leg funny, kicked the table, and it went putty. It did the whole putting off the edge. Because, of course, it's only balanced here. It's not attached to it. So I did the whole kick, and it just went putting. And in kind of slow motion, and all the bobbins went 8 billion bobbins on there doing that. No, just burn it. You know, I mean, I can spend some time undoing yarn bath, but that's because it's one piece of string. There's one end, well, there's two ends, and you know, you can work it out. I am not unwinding 500 billion bobbins. Because they don't half tangle well. I mean, Christ, it's hard enough with this. You know, you'd almost have to have, like, you know, prison cells for them. One way that is preying on my mind, but I don't know how I'd do it, because I have no tools, is basically making some of these, but that they, while this comes out of here, this actually goes round. So, for example, trying to do it with these. So let's say I was going to put these in a stick. The stick's actually a pair of these, and this would say go on top. This, like this. This then would come round some slats at the top to help hold it still. Round the bottom like this. Up and over like this. And then like trap them in the middle. But they'd also have to have like a layer of padding on to try and apply pressure to the ones in the middle. Because, you know, can't have them falling out. And I'd need a metric shit ton of those because, well, it's about 5 pairs. So that's going to be what? 54 lots of bobbin holders. No, it's more than that. 100 bobbin holders because it's only 5 pairs. Basically 536 freaking bobbin holders, pretty much. No, just frigging no. It's just going to be too many. It's going to be like I don't know, it's about 250 bobbin holders. No, just book me a funny farm spot right now. I'll take a look by the staring windows, please. You know, I'll be there by about 2:30 tomorrow. You know, it's let alone winding that many bobbins. Oh dear God, can you imagine it? My insanity's rising, and I haven't even thought about it. And again, this is part of the thing, isn't it? It is the, you know, when you're doing it for yourself, there are some shortcuts that one can take and live with. If you're doing it, you know, for a royal wedding or something, shortcuts don't happen, right? But I do think doing it in strips, if I can do it in strips, would make it feasible. So it'd be a similar principle to this. You do a strip, you work down, obviously a long strip, and it's a wide strip, but you set it up so that you can then join it together with a friend. And because you work down a paper, it's not like knitting where if you knitted it in strips and tried to join it, you'd discover your tension was wonky or you'd screwed up a bit and now it's all a row out or something. Because you're following a printed pattern, you frankly can't screw it up that bad. Well, you can, but the pattern's going to line up. You know, if these squares would line up with other squares, for example. So, you know, you could do that. And I mean, I do have some anxiety about pins, but I do have quite a few pins. And I've got another box of pins. Well, actually, I've got 2 boxes of the other pins. I think I've got more of these. Well, yeah. The only problem with all these pins is this is the kind of how it came. But if you look, they're nearly all pointy end up, not the end you want, which is really irritating. But you know, I think I've got enough pins. I could probably do a decent size strip. I'd have to think of what I wanted to do on my strip, because I don't think plain strips would really be the answer, although plain could be good. So yeah, my indecisiveness is rife, frankly. Add to due to hit in 30 seconds. So yeah, but it is something I feel I want to I want to experiment and see if I can do it, because maybe I can't do it today. Maybe I'll be able to do it in a couple of years. Maybe I will be better at it in the long run. I tried picots again. I still suck at picots, but then I don't like picots, so that makes it easier. Although doing a picot on the end would help make the joins easier, but it would show, so that's not a thing, you know. screw that up. My brain had wandered. What was the term that you heard? Hang on. In case you didn't hear that. Oh, picos. Picos. Hang on. Right, so now you're back. Picos. This was my attempt number 2 at picos. I don't like picos. They are the little loops on the edge. And to me, especially in lace making, they look like bad pinholes. They look like pinholes that you should have done better, right? That you screwed up somehow. So if I do a bit of zoomage, hang on, zoomage, and we want to go this way. All right. Bear in mind, this was an experiment, not a piece of art here. Some of these picos are better than others. Some of them are not. But focus on it, thank you. It just looks like bad pinholes to me. I mean, these ones down this side are slightly better, but it looks like I got the thread looped too much round the pin, or I used a really fat pin and I shouldn't have done. If I turn it over, these other ones on this side might sit a bit flatter. doesn't look like they want to. But, you know, if you look down here, they just look like bad pinholes to me. It's not a look I enjoy. But it is easy for when you want to go and take your magic, where is it, stick of doom, because you can get your Pico and you can stick the thing through it really easily. It's the only use, but then you're not supposed to use Picos for that. So they're supposed to be, you know, along the edge, and you can possibly use them to sew them things on down with, but I just don't like them. My Pico's it's a bit twisty at the bottom. This one tends to twist quite a bit. As you can see, it kind of has a bit of a life. It would need to be pressed. It was just me practicing Picos. That's all this was about. But this was a Bucks Point style one, because Bucks often uses. So part of me would like this. Well, this thread is the same thread as this one. It's just pink. But you can picture, if you look at this and how this looks, as if it would stay flat would be nice. But whatever way I turn it, one bit wants to curl up, one bit wants to curl down, so can't really make it stay. This ground, it looks a lot thicker, but it's the same weight thread. This is the same size grid, with the same size thread, just done in a different manner. So on a thinner thread, you know, with a smaller thing, this would be very much more net curtainy. And so hence, you know, I worked it out that according to a magic chart, I should look to have a gap of 1.7 millimeters. That's a pin. So the distance is between, say, that pin and that pin is 1.7 millimeters. These are 2.4. So this means twice as many pins in any given area. Now look how busy this can be already, right? It's a lot of pins. Some of these I obviously didn't twist too well, and some of them haven't taken to it as well as I could, and maybe I over twisted them or something. So, and as I say, it's a bit curly. Tension was a little bit awkward on the edge because the edge was completely passive pairs, and so if you pulled on them they went a bit funny because, well, there was nothing stopping you from pulling on them, so it kind of went a bit weird at the bottom where you're throwing pairs out. But it is, I like it enough, I really do, but it is doesn't fill me with hope for a mega scaled up version, if you know what I mean. So instead of being like, you know, 1.5 inches wide or whatever it is, it might even be 2, but only just, you know, being sort of like, I don't know, 20 inches wide. Well, it is a test, and to be honest, but again, you know, while it was a really simple thing to make in principle, clearly I managed to make mistakes, and they then show up. So, for example, here, there's a kind of bit that doesn't sit right no matter what you do. Can't explain why. I mean, there are pinholes. You put pins in the pinholes. I mean, how can you screw that up? Well, apparently I did. One of the things that's very different about Bucks to this, when I do this, so as you saw me with this, you do a couple of stitches, put a pin, and then do a couple of stitches, and it kind of surrounds the pin and hugs the pin. With this, you do crossed 3 twists and put the pin in next to the cross, but nothing holds it in, so it can move around. So it can mean that tension can go really wonky. I mean, it's not too bad. I mean, you know, it's only the 3rd thing I've ever made in Bucks, and I was technically using a torsion square, so which you're allowed to do. That is a thing. I can prove it. There's a website that says you're allowed to do that. It says it will look different. Well, yeah, but I was trying to practice the picos, not worry too much about what it looked like. But again, if I was making huge sheets of strips for things, you know, as we all know, you only ever spot the mistake once you've posted it on the internet. And, well, then, the last thing I want to do is make like a metre-long strip of stuff, post a picture on the internet and go, oh, look, there it is. That'd be exceptionally soul-destroying. I mean, to be fair, if I completely muller up a square, if I do something so bad that the square is really bad, I can just make another one. But if I'm doing a strip and it's taken me like, 2 months to make a strip or something, well, I don't really want to be making another one I'm in a hurry, do I? So with all that in mind, I am concerned, and I've done it again, I am concerned that I am not skilled enough to consider doing that as a project. And it's not that I can't technically do it, because, as I've said, it's either cross or twist. I mean, technically, everybody can do it. It's the principle and the practice that is where it all falls down. So yeah, I don't know. I struggle. I also think the speed of the projects doesn't help me, in that my brain has lots of ideas, but I just don't have the time to generate the lace to keep up with my brain. I'd need to be one of those ladies that goes, and out comes like 6 inches of lace. And I'm clearly not. Very clearly not. It was nice of you to come. Thank you very much. I appreciate you being here. It's been lovely to chat with you. I enjoy chatting with people. Makes time go a bit easier. Helps me not screw up quite so much. Means that I don't feel like I'm talking to myself, which is always a bonus. Take care. See you again soon, I hope. Right, what do I do next? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Definitely need a 3D printer. Because a 3D printer would be great for making bobbin sticks. Take a pair of you to help you flatten out a bit. put you in a stick. So, this is where it's going to get awkward, because you can go around like that and try not to fall out. You can come round and try not to fall out, please, children. This is where these bobbins are less good, because they like to try and fall out. You can go around there, because I want to get to the bottom pack. You're interfering with the table. So you can come round like that, and then you, and I want some of you, like that many of you perhaps. 1, 2, 3, 4. That doesn't feel right. No. You're good. But This one doesn't quite feel right. Might be. How are you all doing out there, or am I talking to myself today? You're just coming undone. See, you're just coming undone, isn't it? And this is why you get the cone of shame. need you for 3 minutes so we can put you in a stick. Put you in a stick like this. Come on, a stick. Now, some of you are a bit short, so I shall make you a bit longer. Who's short? You are, you are. Trying to pat you a bit further away. See who's stopping it. It's much easier for the ones with cones of shame, because, well, it just is. Like that. Who's short there? You are. Who's short? You are. Right, that means you can now go over there out the way. Properly out the way. You, I need, but you I do not. And you should not be crossed. You a little bit so that you can all slide up like that. Right. I now need to work across this lot. So I need you and you. You're short, you can be longer. You're a bit too long. Where's my pot of cones of shame? There we go. And we'll roll you down, roll you up a little, and put you back, which is why the cones of shame are good. Cone of shame down a little bit. Right. Put you side. One, two, three, 4, 5. So, twisty, twisty. You are dealt with. You get to go over there. Stick you as well. about you out the way for a minute. You can have a cone of shame because you have come off. Where did that go? Oh, let's get another cone of shame because that one ran away. Dig that out later, wherever that went. Because many of my things in my house are beige, I mean, for example, if I put it on my jumper, you can see what I mean, it kind of disappears. So with my carpet being beige and my jumper being beige and my blanket being beige, yeah, I'll find that eventually. So let's try that again. Kind of shame for you. Pin for you. My jumper feels weird now. Let me poke that down with my pokies. You want your lace near the bottom of the pins because, well, that way it's definitely the right distance apart and it's not going to pucker and do weird things later. Oh, 1 o'clock in the morning. Gotta love it. going to have. Yeah, I pulled a couple out. Doesn't really matter. I can pick pins as well. Keeps up the tradition of the ones down the edge. As I say, they're not essential. The only ones that are essential are these ones. Even these ones arguably could come out. You should be in a stick. You need a cone of shame. You can have a cone of shame. You can have a cone of shame if you're coming undone. You too can have one. Excuse me. In fact, we have a couple because we know how this is going to go. Let's roll you up. You on end. And you too, because you'll get jealous. You'll get jealous of your friend. look at. this is lace bobbin, well, bobbin lace. It's lace making. This is kind of the... there are a number of ways of making lace. Traditionally either by needle or by bobbin, and this is a bobbin version. Now, there are also 50 billion ways of doing it with bobbins, which vary depending by where it was worked in the world. This is known as torchon, which is generally recommended as a starting point for beginners. To be honest, I don't kind of see why it's any better or worse than any of the others. For lace making is made of two moves. You have usually two pairs of bobbins, sometimes more, but usually two. A cross is when the left one goes over the right one, and a twist, which is when a right one goes over a left one. That's it. That is all it's made of, is that combinations of those two moves. So as it goes, while some may be a little, this is quite good in the sense, hang on, I'm trying to count these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. While this is quite good in the sense that it is quite a, it's not sturdy, but it is kind of, what's the word I'm after? It's it's not even supported. When you do ground, which is what I'm doing here, so if I scoot these round, because I need to, hang on, and grab me the next pair of bobbins I'm going to work through. When you do a pin, you do the pre kind of bit. You grab yourself a pin, you stick it in a hole, you then cover the pin, so the lace is maintained by where the pins are. In other laces, that's not always the case. So they do you do tend to have tension issues, and you can end up with problems such as, for example, this, which is my bookmark. But as you can see, it's not entirely even along the ground here. There's a bit here that's a bit wonky, and it's very easily done. This one's also quite curly because, again, it's not quite got the tension right. It's easier to screw up the tension on it. So this is done in a Buck's Point style, which is basically the same as the Chantilly lace version. But one thing I like about this one, it doesn't do it, but this is stretchy. This you can manipulate and it is stretchy. The torsion one does not do that. It's more solid. Hang on. So if I grab my previous squares, for example, here is a previous square. This is solid in both directions. It doesn't stretch. So it has bonuses and not bonuses, as you can imagine, because stretch can be good and not stretch can be good depending on what you're trying to do with it. And so stretch can be a problem if you need it not to stretch, and not stretching can be a problem if it's on, say, a garment and you need it to be able to move and flex with what's going on. So this is part of the reason why there are different types of lace. That last one doesn't look right somehow. That's because... So let's have a quick look. Oh no. Yeah. Sometimes, occasionally, things don't look right, and it's just a question of how the twists are working out, and sometimes they sort themselves out and you kind of go, and other times it just looks a bit wonky for the sake of it. That's alright. So yes. Hopefully that answers your question, Fairy Light. Fairy Tale, sorry. I was looking at my thing and I remembered the fairy but not the tail bit. Pin the end of that down. Be sure you twist it over. No, you got tangled, didn't you? I can tell. You two are a thing and you're too long. Yeah, you two are the pair, so that's good. pin down. I realised I didn't need to. No, that wasn't right. That. You go out. 2, 3. You need to come in. But you're too long. And you're annoying. No, you're getting kinds of shape. No shame required. always nice when you get to the bottom and you've got the right number of bobbins. There you go. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, and stick. Stickity, stick, stick, stick. Sure. Who can we lengthen to make that feel a bit better? You're a bit short. Right. You can now go round the corner like that. And you are an awful lot of bobbins. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, okay. Fair enough. Alright. So, I think, as it's basically 2 o'clock in the morning, that as we're fairly quiet, I mean, last week there were like 8 or 9 of you listening. Now I'm not so sure. Doesn't look like there's too many of you. So I'm going to call it quits for today. Just because no point staying up till the wee hours of the morning for no humongously good reason. Not that, you know, any of you are bad reasons, but, you know, don't want to turn too much into a night owl. So, time for the obligatory picture. Time to clean my camera first. There we go. Let's take it at a bit of an angle to get it all to sit in properly. Like that. We didn't do a bad amount today, you know. We really didn't. Let's have a look at what the pins have revealed. Doesn't look that bad, you know. Doesn't look that bad. Let's poke this down a bit because it's kind of sitting up a little bit. It'd be better if it wasn't. Alright, same with you. Poke you down because sitting flat is good for you. So, I'm not displeased with myself. I mean, I know we didn't do exactly huge amounts, but, you know, it's not like we made a whole triangle. You know, we didn't do too bad. So, I am going to call it a night. I shall take my sorry soul to bed, as it's nearly 2 o'clock in the morning, and it will be by the time I've started everything else. I thank you for turning up. If you wish to be notified while I'm online, if you do !Discord, it will tell you my Discord server, because it is far more reliable than Twitch to tell you when I went online. If you do !Social, I think it's socials actually, it will give you my Blue Sky and YouTube, etc. So you can follow there and catch up on past videos, and the progression pictures are obviously posted as well. Failing that, I shall see you UK time tomorrow, probably early afternoon, give or take a bit. No exact time, because, well, it will depend when I get ready, when I've done enough things and my brain's all sorted and ready to go. And so I do apologise for not having a bit more of a solid schedule. But failing that, I will be here most Saturdays about this kind of, really late UK time to try and help you catch it should you be interested. Thank you for coming, and I hope that I will catch you again. Lurking is certainly permissible here. We're not mad if you lurk. I mean, to be fair, I would love it if you talk to me, because it helps me realise I'm not just talking to myself. But, not everyone can... if you're doing your own thing while you're listening and watching me do my thing, that's also perfectly good. So, I shall see you, hopefully, tomorrow. Bye-bye.